The Fin Chasers is about a world record or a tournament. Very targeted, very specific. We raise the bar for ourselves because for me, that brings out the best in me. That juices me.
Oh my God, it's a giant. World record fish. How cool.
Never, ever, ever, ever give up.
This is Fin Chasers.
I was born and raised in Staten Island, New York, one of the 5 boroughs in New York City.
All the deadliest sins are like one night in New York.
And Staten Island back then was a much different place than it is today. It was a little more suburban than the rest of the 5 boroughs. No one in my family knows why I love fishing because nobody in my family was really into fishing. It was just the one thing that I picked up on. And once I became successful, I was addicted. I guess I got started fishing because that was a thing I could do by myself on my own time. We moved around a lot when I was young. It was hard making friends, so I could do that whenever I wanted, wherever I wanted, as long as there was water, and I could do it by myself. Once I figured out that I was good at it, then I fell in love with it.
Darling, I'll be just fine. You won't take.
Starting to attract them, the tide is starting to run. We're fishing a very simple chunk rig here. In 1976, we moved down to the beach in Ocean Breeze in Staten Island. My aunt in Italy owned the house for 40 years and sold it to my mother for $2,500. It was in terrible condition, but all that mattered for me was it was right across the street from the beach. And that changed everything for me. The fish were bigger, there was potentially more of them. I was fortunate that right away I was successful. I also realized that even though I was the new kid in the neighborhood, because I was a good fisherman, I was popular. What really changed everything for me was when I was able to get my own boat. A 1967 Fleetwood lap streak, and I restored that boat from top to bottom, every seam caulked and filled by myself. I was only able to do that after my full day of work was done in my father's gas station. At 13 years old, to have my own boat, no matter how not nice it was my freedom. And even though the fishing was tough, if I worked hard, I could figure it out, and then the obsession began. At dead high tide, that smokestack only clears the center of the span of the bridge by 3 meters. So that's why they want to get out before the high tide. So we still got 3 feet of tide. So they really got to watch when that boat goes out, man. It's pretty wild. I started to toy with the idea of guiding once we saw how successful we were when we started fly fishing. When we started, there wasn't a lot of people in the Northeast fly fishing. But once we could set out every single time and catch a striped bass on fly, we started to think about guiding. The idea of starting my own tackle company came from years of testing tackle for other people that I was on their pro staff. And after giving them information and input and feedback, I noticed that a lot of them didn't change anything. Once I started to examine, what am I taking in my tackle box every trip? I looked at that and then looked at those lures and thought, I could do better than this. And it worked out pretty good. Guide Secret Tackle is very successful. I'm proud of what we do, and it's the only hard baits we fish. Having my own TV show was the next natural progression for me. Unlike organized sports of baseball, football, or tennis, where you have matches and games and such, when you're fishing, you're mostly fishing against yourself, if you will. The world records was an opportunity to fish against other people. It's challenging enough to shoot a TV show. It's challenging enough on its own to try and break a world record. It's challenging enough on its own to fish a tournament and try and be competitive. To put all those together and try and do it while you're filming it is very challenging. One thing I was taught at a very early age by my mother is, you always have to give back. There's always somebody who has less than you have, and that's something that I've done my whole life. When it came to fishing, I gave back through starting the Fishermen's Conservation Association. Some of my charity work in the fishing world was to run tournaments that benefited other people. When we did it for the red bone, which benefits cystic fibrosis, we held our first tournament in Montauk, New York, and that's where I met Wade Boggs.
Hi, I'm Wade Boggs. Welcome to the Fin Chasers. As you can see, we're in New York City. Grand old ladies right behind me. We've got some great action this week. Giant blues, giant stripers. Stay tuned. Tip your hat every time you go by the grand old lady.
Once I met Wade Boggs, we became fast friends. Maybe because the fact that I knew nothing about his baseball career, other than he played for the Yankees. So when we're together, it's all about fishing, and we fished a lot together. When I got him his first world record, I knew that we were going to be fishing friends for a very long time.
Coming up on Fin Chasers.
Wade Boggs is back in town, and that means one thing: we're going fishing. We got an incoming tide, that's why I want to fish this island incoming.
Okay.
With this wind, it's going to blow us down this side of the island. This is Wade's first time on the new 28 Buddy Davis, and I want to show off some of my new toys, the Ray Marine toys.
Oh my God, is
Oh yeah, it's sick.
is that the greatest thing?
Oh yeah, man.
I have.
Dude, no more nighttime is like daytime.
If you're going straight ahead, you're going to run right into that boat
Right.
in the night, because you're not going to see that boat in the middle of the night.
Right, a boat that's moored, no lights on.
No, yeah, he's right there. In the middle of the night, you're running, and there he is.
Look, I can see clear across the other side of the harbor. Which
The
is
whole other
yeah.
side.
Yeah, there's the tree line over there. We got 4 transducers on this boat. High and low chirp, regular sonar, and side view.
That is the cat's meow.
So if you remember when we were going after the world record for your bluefish, which we broke, we came within 2 centimeters here, but we knew that these fish were all the same size or, you know, smaller. The biggest one missed by 2 centimeters. First drop, you tied the all tackle release record for striper, which I set with Greg Meyerson. And then the second cast, you broke the bluefish release record.
Verrazano Bridge, just come out here. We call it Skull Island.
Yep.
And that's my favorite place. There's some giant bluefish here. I played in New York for 5 years. Never realized that in my own backyard, I had giant stripers, giant bluefish, and never took advantage of this for 5 years. But now, with Captain Frank Crisatelli, with the Manhattan Cup, we're taking advantage of it right now.
first day of fishing started out like many first days of fishing on the Fin Chasers. Tough weather and tough fishing.
All right, Boggsy, this one's you. This is your lucky rod. This is the one you caught it on.
We're not in the Amazon. We're just outside the Verrazano Bridge. The bluefish are going nuts. This isn't your average striper. This is the bluefish. This is what you can expect just outside of the Statue of Liberty.
Bluefish. There he is. There we go, Jersey tarpon. Oh! He bit that off. And right there is why you never lip a bluefish. 60-pound leader, shredded it. Oh! Now you're showing off, Boggsy. Oh! Jersey tarpon.
We're on the board, folks. Bluefish, Verrazano Bridge, gives you goosebumps. This is awesome, folks.
We finally landed a bluefish, the ice is broken, the skunk's out of the boat, and the pressure's off.
Got him, caught him looking. No, you gotta do it the right way, baby. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Monster.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
that is nice,
Dude.
It's pretty long. Let me see how long it is. Where's the tape? In here?
We got a little 82 for our first bad boy warm up a little bit before we get to start breaking world records.
As usual, I'm the last one to get my chance at a fish.
Come on, baby. Come on, eat them.
We're fishing hard, but after a good start, the action is slow.
Do one short drift, throw them right in the pilings here, and that's it.
Even though we had some good fishing, they're not the fish we're looking for. I got a report from down south, so it's time to head to my other home, Beach Haven, New Jersey. We load up the 28 Davis and hit the road.
We figured it was time to take advantage of the new 28 Buddy Davis, and the reason we got a little bit smaller boat this year was that if there was a bite, we could simply load the boat on the trailer and hit the road. We're running the beaches here in South Jersey looking for bunker pods that are holding very large striped bass and monster alligator bluefish. Dude, that's a hog. Oh! Bit me right off.
It's pretty cool that when Wade Boggs comes to New York City, he's fishing with me.
Oh, I got a bass.
As usual, I'm the last one to get my chance at a fish.
I got a big fat bluefish on fly. Yeah, baby. Somebody's behind it. Let's take a look at him, Paul. Oh, it's a big fish.
It's frustrating when the fish finally decides to eat that the hook pulls. But we're in a good mood, the fish are biting, so we're ready to go.
So right now, we looked all morning, we finally found a bunker pod that was getting smashed. It is full of 10 to, I saw one bluefish had to be 19 pounds. We had a couple of 20-pound bass following the plug as well. We're hooking up on fly, plugs, it's awesome. Oh!
The fish are biting one after the other. This is what we live for.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, baby. We saw the world record bluefish swimming this morning. We just didn't catch it. We caught a lot of other ones though. So we'll get a bite to eat and see what the afternoon bite's like. We came through this inlet this morning and head north. We pulled up, bluefish were going crazy. The fish we saw were not big enough for what we need, but they were still 10, 12 pounders. But they broke up now. Listen, these are top of the food chain fish. They don't have any predators, so, you know, they get very spooky when something is bigger than them around. So, you know, they kind of broke up.
I was born and raised in New York City, and I can't imagine being from or living anywhere else. This is a place where there is a world-class fishery. The stark contrast between the very urban New York that most people know and the natural world that I know is pretty cool. 8 million people, and not many of them are on the water. That's why I love this place, and that's why this is my hometown. A few days after Wade left, I got a report that back in Long Beach Island, the big stripers had moved in. And it was just me and my mate Adam.
This is our second fish in 5 minutes. This fish made 4 blinding runs.
8 hours of fishing, every battery on every camera was dead. We have cell phone video of the world record, which was approved. And now I get to join Wade with a release record. He has the all tackle release record for bluefish, and now I have the all tackle release record for striped bass.
Nice grab. Oh, it's a hog.
That's a big
It is a hog. It is a hog. What better thing than set out for a goal, catch the fish, and don't have to kill it. Ready? Go ahead, honey.
There she goes. Congratulations, that's so awesome.